Hello, everyone. Today I'll be discussing the ADDIE Instructional Design Model. ADDIE is one of the most widely used frameworks for designing instruction across education, training, and digital learning environments. The model provides a systematic process that helps educators move from identifying learning needs to evaluating whether instruction actually worked. Instructional design models exist to help educators think more intentionally about how learning experiences are constructed. Rather than simply delivering content, these frameworks help instructors align learning objectives, instructional activities, and assessments. In other words, instructional design models help ensure that what we teach, how we teach it, and how we measure learning all work together. The ADDIE model is an acronym representing 5 phases of instructional design: analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. These phases guide designers through the process of identifying learning needs, creating instructional materials, delivering instruction, and measuring whether learning outcomes were achieved. While the model is often presented as a sequence, it's better understood as a cycle that encourages continuous development. The origins of ADDIE can be traced back to the 1970s, when instructional systems design methods were developed for the U.S. military by Florida State University's Center for Educational Technology. The goal was to create systematic training programs that could effectively prepare large numbers of personnel. Over time, the ADDIE framework was adopted by universities, corporate training programs, and instructional designers because of its logical structure and adaptability. The first phase of the ADDIE model is analysis. This is where instructional designers identify the learning problem and determine the needs of the learners. Designers consider factors such as learners' prior knowledge, the context in which learning will occur, as well as the performance gaps that instruction is meant to address. A strong analysis phase ensures that instruction is solving the right problem. During the design phase, the instructional plan begins to take shape. Learning objectives are written, assessment strategies are developed, and a sequence of instruction is organized. In many ways, this phase functions like the blueprint for a building. The designer maps out exactly what learners should know or be able to do and how instruction will help them reach those outcomes. The development phase focuses on creating the instructional materials themselves. This may include presentations, videos, reading assessments, or interactive learning modules. In modern digital learning environments, this stage often includes the creation of multimedia content and online learning resources. Implementation is the phase where instruction is actually delivered to learners. Instructors introduce the materials, guide students through activities, and support learning as it occurs. This phase may take place in traditional classrooms, online environments, or even as professional training programs. Evaluation is the final phase of the ADDIE model, but it also continues throughout the process. Formative evaluation happens during development and implementation to identify areas that need improvement. Summative evaluation occurs after instruction to determine whether learning objectives were achieved. The insights gained from these evaluations often lead designers back to earlier stages for revision. To illustrate how ADDIE works in practice, consider designing a world history lesson. During the analysis phase, a teacher might identify that students struggle to analyze historical causation. During the design phase, the teacher could write learning objectives focused on evaluating causes and consequences of historical events. Development might involve creating primary source activities or structured debates. Implementation occurs when the lesson is taught, and evaluation involves assessing whether students demonstrate improved analytical thinking. One of the greatest strengths of ADDIE is its structured approach to instructional planning. The model helps ensure that learning objectives, instruction, and assessment remain aligned. Because of its flexibility, ADDIE can be applied across a wide range of contexts, including K-12 education, higher education, corporate training, and online learning environments. Despite its strengths, ADDIE does have some limitations. Critics sometimes argue that the model can appear overly linear and time-consuming. In fast-paced design environments, such as software training or rapid course development, designers may need to adapt the model to work more iteratively. Even though the ADDIE model originates decades ago, it remains highly relevant today. As digital learning environments become increasingly common, educators rely on structured design processes to create effective online courses. ADDIE continues to provide a reliable framework for aligning learning goals, instructional strategies, and assessments.